Lab 25, it's Stanley. I'm about to introduce two clips to you. Um, One with the Prime Minister of Grenada, which is Mr. Deacon Mitchell. Now the Prime Minister, his party is the NDC. Then there is a clip taken from the Dynamic Hour, which is fronted by Kem Jones. And I always refer to him as the unofficial, official voice of the NDC. From what I have observed, and I think it's significant, that the NDC is growing up, they're becoming political and trying to stamp their authority on the country. So the first clip really demonstrates that, because the Prime Minister, at the end of a rally or during a rally, made some comments which is supposedly controversial in terms of pointing out that you have to look after your own. All I can say to that is, in the Grenadian context, what he said is totally acceptable, given that from Sir Eric days, and that's in real terms the first leader of Grenada, political leader, and he's the one who it's referred to as the father of independence, having taken us into independence, that they had something which was born called the Garyite. And that's the people who supported Sir Eric, his party, and really their whole life was that. Never questioned, just voted. So this thing is a tradition that the NNP, who was led by Dr. Mitchell, the leadership has changed recently, they created a culture which lasted for some 20 odd years of only the NNP people are employed. This is not allegation, this is fact. Only the NNP people, children, will get a scholarship. So that's the kind of life and that's the kind of background you have to view the Prime Minister's statement in. But again, I say this, because Grenada is not a normal country. When Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is speaking, he's not, it's a technicality thing, he's not speaking as the Prime Minister of Grenada, he's speaking as the head of a political party. And therefore, in Grenada, you could get away with that because Grenada is not a country with any standards. Standards doesn't exist. But he's doing what those before him have done in stamping the authority and say it's us or. You haven't got a choice. We are the choice. But as I say, you have to see it in context. Now, the second clip, which is perhaps more important, the unofficial voice of the government, which is Kem Jones on his Dynamic Hour, he's pointing out there have been this culture, again I say, this is not allegation. The allegation that is made is the present leader of the NNP, Ms. Evelyn Pierre, is part of a faith group that was able, by some means, to attract from the country, this is taxpayers' money, $6.8 million into community centers. That is an allegation because after the Prime Minister, Mr. Deacon Mitchell, pointed this out, it's been over a year, it's been over 2 years, and they haven't taken her to court, so you have to wonder. However, the practice has been at a lower level that people get money to build a bridge. They have nothing to do with construction, but they are part of the party. And what's called the local oligarchy, whatever they call them, you furnish your supporters with funds at the expense of the state. You created what is called a vulnerable. So in one house, these vulnerable people, they are paid to stay at home. They go home with thousands of dollars. They've been living large off the state. Kem is addressing that. The NDC ought to have addressed that the day they got into office. But they are weak. They're not political. As I say, they're growing up. And maybe that change is coming through. So there is indeed a fierce debate. Should the Prime Minister have made the statement he made? Well, I will defend him from the point of view that that's been the tradition of Grenada. That is not right, because he's there to serve all. Well, that's just a technicality, because none of them have ever done it. Dr. Mitchell, when he was in office, never done it, and he made it quite clear. Huh? The Green Tribe. So yes, so we have this. So here we are. I'm introducing the two clips. First you hear the Prime Minister, and then you hear Kim Jones, and he's reeling out. You can go on the net and find his program, where you get more details of this practice in Grenada, where there is, for instance, a nice scam. It's called the Imani, where you pay people to stay at home, and you say you're training them, or those who have been trained after 10 years, they're still training. But this Grenada is unique. There's no accountability for anything, and you do what you want. So the fact that the present Prime Minister is becoming a Grenadian political leader, well, what did they say? Take it in your... It's Labe 25. I'm Stanley.